Okay, today's video, talking about shopping campaigns, how to basically triple the results you're getting on your shopping campaigns, which when I say results, I'm talking about getting more ad impressions. And if you're like most people, or if you didn't know yet, shopping is generally the most profitable thing you can do for an e-commerce business out of anything, any PPC on not only Google, but anywhere. Unless you're talking about like remarketing to, past customers, something like that. But for driving new business, nothing really beats shopping 90+% of the time. But the problem with the shopping that people do have is they would say, darn, I wish I could get some more from this. And this is absolutely going to tell you how to do that in a way that anybody can do it, and which gets results virtually every time. To what degree is the real question, not if you, so in other words, not if you will get results, but how much, and in terms of how quick, basically within a few weeks already after this is rolled out. Takes you maybe a week or so to do this, depending on how slow you are, and then by the end of the month, you've already got a ton more business coming in. More ad impressions, which leads to more sales. Assuming those sales you're making now are profitable, you're making, 10 grand a week, now you're making, upwards of 30 grand a week. I'll throw out a quick caveat with that. A lot of times this tripling might take, to realize the full tripling, it's going to take a few months to really let Google kind of fully digest what you've given to them, which is a modification of your product feed, which is what this is about. But it will be there. You will get some of those results basically within the first month or right away. As soon as this is implemented, basically starting the next day already, you're going to start to get some more ad impressions and respectively more profits from that. So with all that general prelude out of the way, I'm going to tell you how to triple your results absolutely, so you can walk away from this video being able to do this, no BS involved. So instead of waiting forever and ever to get more impression share and action from a Google shopping campaign, this is going to be able to put things into your own hands so you can start getting a ton more, basically upwards of triple right away. If you did not know, before I will get into the strategy, I will also say that with shopping, you can generally expect to get more and more results from shopping, but it takes a long time because you don't have as many configurational targeting options on shopping. It's an algorithm that determines where and if your ads are going to show up. They have to see positive data coming from some of your products and then slowly inch up those products. And then because it's not, and then also with that, it's not if the product shows up for one keyword or not. They look at all the subtraits behind each person who searches for each keyword, and it may be half of the time when they people search for so-and-so keyword, your product is more appropriate, whereas the other half, it's a competitor's product. So respectively, you're battling with everybody else for the ad space and the other people running shopping campaigns in particular to who's got the most clickable image, and pretty much that's the main thing, people clicking through, and also, of course, are they clicking back to Google to click on something else, which if they do, no matter how high your click-through rate, you're not going to do well because Google wants to send out of all available shopping feed products that they have available to them through Google Merchant Center, the one that's going to satisfy the user at the highest possible rate, because Google wants people to respect and use and want to click on Google ads more than anything else. That's their long-term goal. They want it more than short-term money. They want people to respect and trust ads, and click less and less on Google Organic all the time, which they're doing a good job of that through the use of their algorithm and learning how to get more data on people so they know what they want to click on before they even click on it. So anyway, this is going to supercharge the process for them. You're going to give them, whereas you can't use keywords in shopping, you can use, this is basically the next best thing that you can implement on your own to do de facto the same thing what a search campaign would do, being able to target specific keywords that you know for a fact intuitively would work, and to supercharge basically the whole shopping campaign process. So this is one method barely anyone though is going to think about, but mega works, and anyone can do it. And I say anybody can do this. You have 80 IQ, you can do this. Put the time in to do this and you will triple your sales. It is that simple. I've done this already quite a few times now. It works amazingly well, like magic, or as close to magic as you can. Some results right away, a bunch more, but a few more months go down to the point where triple the results is more so along the lines of what's realistic for most businesses. Obviously, some businesses, it'll be a little bit more, some less, but that's a general ballpark of what's possible with this thing if you execute it the way that I'm mentioning here, which is a tried and true way to execute it so you get those results. So you can do your own twists to it. You should always do that to my strategies, but if you don't want to reinvent the wheel, you don't want to work very hard, you want to just get good results, decent results with not having to overthink it, just use my strategy here because I've already tested this. It's tried and true strategy in terms of executing it and get most of the results, we'll say. So here's the method. Do research on every single product that your competitors have listed on their sites. So make it, in other words, taking a step back, list every competitor you have, every direct competitor, that is, not like an indirect or anything like that competitor, and then make a list in a spreadsheet of every single item that they sell. Particularly what the name of the item they sell. Some people obviously don't have a brand name, an in-house brand name for what they sell. It's just tennis balls, which, by the way, it's very hard to make money on Google Ads just selling tennis balls anymore. You got to be able to have a branded tennis ball that you sell, or you have to be an exclusive dealer for someone who sells tennis balls which have already pre-built demand. Why? Because there'll be a bidding war between you and everybody else, and the margins will go down to the point where it's not worth selling anymore. And somebody goes to your site, you pay $2 to get them to come to your site, and then later on, you know, half of the people are going to buy instantly, so they have to come back. And if you have no brand name, they're just going to go back. They're going to go to somebody else later on. They're not going to bookmark your site as much as you think they will, and then somebody else gets the sale after you paid to educate them. So if you got a brand name, now they have to find you. It's you only later on, which kind of makes it totally changes the game. Most of the people that I see make millions and millions of dollars with e-commerce have self-branded products or an exclusive distributorship, so they have one country or something like that. Like I said, so you get all the name of the products of your competitors' products into a spreadsheet, all by itself in one column. So by the name of the product, that's number one. 2, map out what the closest directly comparable items you sell are in the second column of that spreadsheet. So if you're selling tennis balls and your competitor's name is, you know, fire fast tennis balls, in your second column, you're going to list the product that you have in your inventory or just on your site available to sell and want to sell that you feel like the consumer should be considering. If you had to pick one to have them consider, assuming they came into you directly and they were considering fire fast tennis balls, what tennis ball would you recommend to that person? Whatever it is, put that in the column B next to the fire fast tennis balls you have now, and you'll do it for every one of the competitors' items so that you have a directly comparable item to refer to, and you've got all that mapped out ahead of time. Where it's debatable whether or not you should offer product A or product B to, you know, basically suggest an alternative for fire fast tennis balls to sell something that you have in stock, I'm going to simply suggest, this is what I'm going to do 99% of the time, is I'm going to choose the item that has the most sales historically in my Google Ads account to suggest in that particular case. I'll tell you just a quick weird situation, and this has actually happened in a slightly different way, but in multiple other occasions. But we had somebody that sold a $100 item, or sorry, I should say, like a $99 item. I think it was $99, $97. So anyway, just under $100. And then somebody also sold a item that was like $130. And being that they're between $99 and $100 is a very, so basically going from 2 digits to 3 digits is a very strong psychological trigger point for people in terms of whether or not they think psychologically they can afford to buy or should or want to buy something. people on the shopping campaigns would click on the $99 product, and if you didn't have the $99 product there, they would only click at half the rate in which the $99 one would click. But once they clicked on the $99 one, they realized they wanted a $130 one like 80-90% of the time because it was way better, but for a little bit more money. But on first glance on Google, if you're looking at the shopping ads with no background information on the product or the company, then it just wouldn't work because of that strong psychological point. They thought it was obviously like so much more, or so much less value, I should say, at $129 for a product by that company, by that brand, than the $99 one. It just, the campaign wasn't near as effective. Basically, made twice as much money promoting the $99 one and knowing they'll go to the more expensive one. With shopping, the moral of the story here is with shopping, you'll see a lot of funny stuff like that. There'll be certain items visually and due to the price, they get a lot more revenue per dollar spent on ads because they're better set up to attract the user's eye, even though they'll go into the site, bounce around like a pinball machine and end up somewhere else. The one thing that Google Ads does is it allows you to do conversion tracking of revenue based upon a cookie or cookie window. So I always do the longest cookie window I can, 90 days, unless somebody's like a very, very high repeat rate of sales. But even then, I'll generally go for full 90 days. And so if somebody clicks on product A, I don't give a crap what else they buy. I'm going to look at total revenue generated from people who click on whatever entry product there is. And I'm going to use that entry product as the directly comparable item to sell, assuming that I had two items there. That's drawing in the most revenue per ad click dollar spent through shopping. So you'll, in other words, look through your Google Shopping campaign, see what's produced the most ROI or revenue per shopping ad dollar spent, and you're going to make note of that to decide who you're going to want to refer people to, because this is all going to be done to amplify your shopping campaign. So if they're looking for that fire fast tennis balls, going back to my previous example I gave you, that you're referring them to the item that most statistically is going to likely, if they were going to be shown some other complementary item or replacement item, that you're not leaving it up to chance. Yes, there's 3 or 4 or 5 items you could sell, but of the data you have, because you've been obviously running shopping before, I'm assuming you did that. For you guys that haven't, well, you have to guess. And then I would say if you are guessing, come back 6 months from now and actually do what I'm telling you here, but to pick the one that has driven the most revenue per dollar ad spent and use that as the item that you refer, not just any random item. If there's multiple that can kind of be referred to that consumer, and don't just go, and with that, the reason why I described everything like I did is don't refer the item that gets the most sales, because that's not going to be the item that gets the most sales in the shopping place because of the nature of the medium and the channel that it's in, that little image, certain item for a certain product, it just has more appeal. Also, the price is also has a huge impact in how much money you're going to make because of, like, for the reason I told you that story about the $99 product versus the $130, the fact that the item was just under the $100 mark made all the difference. So therefore, you want to, when you're optimizing for what should be shown to shopping, or with shopping, it should be based upon how that channel works and what's worked in that channel in the past, not on everything. So I think you got my point there. So anyway, once you've gotten a complementary item in a second column in your spreadsheet with your competitors' items by name, of how they title or describe their item, the trade name, whatever they call the brand, the brand name of the product itself. You have your product, it'll be an actual URL to the product at hand that you will use in the future to suggest people to or point people to when they search for competitor product A. You'll want them to go to product B based upon its historical rate of getting and its capability capability of drawing ROI from shopping versus other items. Your third step is going to be put each of your competitors' product names now in, you're going to basically do keyword research, sorry, on your competitor's brand name. So it's Firefast tennis balls. Type in Firefast tennis balls and ubersuggesst, but Google it if you don't know what that is. It's a good keyword tool I use. You should never use one tool for keyword research. You should use everything you can and then combine. If you want the most results, that's what you do. So that's what you should do here as well. ubersuggesst, Google keyword tool to find out ideas related to that product name. What you're looking for is other keywords that people, or phrases people type in that have that product name in it somewhere. Firefast tennis balls, 20 gram weight would be an example of a keyword. When I do my keyword research that I found that, I would put that in my list, understanding the type of things that people type in that are directly related to that item. That's what we're looking for here specifically. But I would check on, and this is where I do keyword research in general to find all the possible keywords I can starting out, and I have no background knowledge in the space. I'm using these same tools, by the way. ubersuggesst, Google keyword tool. Then I'm going to look at meta tag. So I'll go to all the competitor sites onto that product in which, the Firefast tennis ball page. I'll go to view source on the page. I'm going to look at meta keywords. A lot of times they will put keywords in there, and then they know the ways that their consumers usually refer to Firefast tennis balls, and they put those in there so people can help find their page. Well, you're going to use that to your own advantage. So when they type in those things in the future, which is what all this is going to be about, that they find your complementary item that you're going to refer to them and which you picked out on step 2. You could steal data that way from your competitor. You can use spyfu. You type in there's no way to do it on a product by product basis on spyfu, but you could put your competitor's whole domain in there, and you can go through all the keywords that it's picked up and then just download it and then sift through it, find, search, do a find function to look through anything in there that's got Firefast in it somewhere, and then pull out keywords related to Firefast tennis balls there somewhere. Then I'm going to go to Google/YouTube auto suggest. So in Google, type in Firefast, see what pops up in the suggested searches. Do the same thing on YouTube, because YouTube has a lot of data that even Google doesn't have. And then, so I'm going to go through all those sources to find any remnant of anything else that I could find that people refer to these Firefast tennis balls that my competitors sell potentially a lot of, so I can understand how to get in front of those people in all the ways that they're already searching for them, and that they got their product business coming in for that product already, in which has the name in it in some place. And with that, Firefast tennis balls, a lot of people will type in tennis ball Firefast or fast fire. There'll be people, what happens is when they forget what the name is and they'll type it in all funky. So you're going to want to do a little bit of extra work to find how people are all typing it in wrong. A lot of times they'll misspell it. Maybe if the tennis ball is F-Y-R-E instead of F-I-R-E, obviously a lot of times they'll just type in F-I-R-E, and you want to know what are the typical ways that they misspell it or misquote it, but also you'll guess just using your own intuition which ones, which ways people are mistyping it. That's why I don't get fancy on product names like that. Using, because you got to have something simple for people to remember. Guaranteed PPC is the name of our firm. It's not hard to be able to remember that and type it in right. And as a small aside, I'm giving a lot of other side tips here. You run brand campaigns for yourself on Google, because the number of people that won't remember how to type in your brand name, even though they remembered your site and your product and they wanted to buy it 3 weeks ago and now they got paid and they're going to find it, 20 to 50% of the people won't type it in right. And if you don't have a brand campaign, they won't be able to find it. And now suddenly your competitors bidding on your brand terms, which they do it on a broad match basis. So if they misspell it, now they can't really find yours, and they could find a complementary solution there, and now you lost the sale, which is why you want to do brand campaigns despite what other people say. Unless your brand name is like so simple that to type in, they'll never be able to screw it up. And that's the only situation where I would not do brand keyword bidding. But even then, I do it every single time anyway. I'm just saying what if you had any situation where we wouldn't do it, it would be where there's no ads above where my search result is with my brand name. My brand name's simple. There's impossible to forget how it's typed in, and it's showing up number first. And they got lots of site links there. It's like, so that would be the perfect situation where I might not use brand. But anyway, that in terms of your competitors' product names, because of the nature of how users behave. You're going to want to know and do the individual research on how people mistype it, how they get it wrong, and then use all of those pieces of information, if you will, to add to your keyword research, so that in the end, we're going to use all these opportunities to get our product in front of that person's that we know our product we want them to buy our pre-designated product, which we already know does good on shopping, to show up for that person when they're typing in all those misspellings and stuff, because that's where our sales are going to come from. What I do is once we have all those misspellings and all that, I'll take everything I got from number 3 there and I'll put it into what is called a permutation tool, which the permutation, it's a statistical term. Basically, all that's going to happen is you can Google permutation tool, and all of your keywords, it's going to take every possible variation forward, backwards. It's going to, you can remove certain terms, add them. Technically, the permutation tool is not going to remove words. So when you make your list, fire fast tennis balls, I would just do fire tennis balls and fire fast tennis balls in my keyword list to start out with, to make sure you got everything. But once you actually have your list, the permutation tool will do fire fast tennis balls fire fast, tennis fire fast balls. And it'll go and actually manually create a list of every possible variation, so that you can exhaust every last opportunity of figuring out where people are searching for that competitor's item, so that we'll be able to get in front of them with our shopping ad here in a little bit. So, and actually with that, a lot of them won't be able to be bid on, because Google doesn't allow you to bid on, well, we're talking about shopping campaigns here, but if you wanted to clean things up, you could run a search campaign with all your terms after you've got them out of your permutation tool and see what's eligible to run, and then you could kick out the rest if you didn't want to. For this, it doesn't really matter a lot. If you had hundreds and hundreds, then that might help you weed it down, so your shopping fee, which we're going to edit here in the next step, won't be astronomically big. But once you have all those permutations now, using all the variations you have here and all the permutations we have here, we'll go ahead and go to the final last step, which is to add a custom label, so you have your shopping product feed. Google Merchant Center accepts a product feed. That product feed has all your items that you have in store, so that when you run a shopping campaign, it knows how to power the shopping campaign. And there's some default, what they call attributes on that product feed, like image, price, that you have to have. But there's other optional ones you can put on there to enhance the information that Google has to be able to run your shopping campaigns. And a lot of, I'd say 95% of people plus don't actually go and add any more than the minimum information. And their algorithm, I was explaining before, basically they're going to try everything randomly. They're going to try this, they're going to try that, they're going to try this item for this keyword. Oh, well, that didn't work. We'll try this item for the same keyword. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, this kind of worked, but we're going to make sure if they're not female and over 45, that this product won't show up, because if you do, then it won't work as good as another product from another person. So it's through a process of elimination or machine learning, they eventually figure out what products you should have that should show up for what people. And you'll want to optimize your site and your pricing and your product image to make sure you get the maximum amount of people, in which Google thinks that you're the best item for those people, as you can get the most opportunities possible. But on your product feed, you can enhance, if you add more information to that product feed than standard, then the algorithm, which is inherently stupid, don't attack me, Google, they want to be able to try everything they can. And one of the things that you can use to help enhance what it should try and try first, instead of waiting forever and figure it out on its own. The more information you pump into that feed, the quicker they're going to figure out where they should place you, and the quicker you're going to make more money. And realistically, more money you're overall going to make, because it can't try every variable. There's only so many searches you have. So the more quality data you put in, the faster, not only the faster you'll get results with shopping, but the better, because it'll try the stuff that has the highest probability of working first. And so what you'll do, there's a way on your shopping feed, there's a bunch of pre-designated ones like that you don't need, that aren't mandatory, like alternate image, and there's, you could put the reviews, stuff like that. But you can do what one is called a custom one. And what I do personally is I'm going to make a separate attribute on my feed, which is just another feed on the, or sorry, another column on the product feed, that I'm going to name alternate names. And alternate names is going to have, because on your product feed, you just have a line for every single product in your shop. So when you go to you look at your spreadsheet, the item that you have on that spreadsheet, right? You're going to look at so you have a competitor and all now the different ways that people search for that competitor's item, spelled wrong, everything. Once you have that, you can use all those keywords separated by a comma, fire fast tennis balls, comma, fire tennis balls, comma, so on and so forth. And you're going to put that in the cell for the attribute that you've named alternate names. So when Google decides how to run where you should show up in shopping for that particular item, it realizes basically at the end conclusion of all this that it should at least try to have it show up for anybody who searches any of those variants where people are looking for your competitor's item, spelled wrong or otherwise. So eventually they may figure this out. A lot of times they won't, because it's, again, the algorithm is not nearly as smart as you think. The shopping algorithm is not. And when you load it up with all those competitor terms, obviously that helps it a lot, because it knows exactly where it should show up. And there's, on the shopping ad block, there's 8 images there. So if they're searching for a specific item from a competitor, obviously the most relevant thing would be the item that's directly competing with it from another vendor. So now you're just telling it, this is what you want anyway, so here's exactly where it should show up. It tries it, it works. Once it realizes it'll work for one item and one set of alternate name, i.e. your competitor keywords and misspellings there, then it'll automatically right away say, wow, let's try to do it for another item and use the alternative name information there to have basically use that information to see where this item, the second item, should show up, i.e. start to have that second item show up for its directly comparable competitor items search results. And it'll keep going. There's a positive feedback loop that'll happen. The more times that it tests it out, given you've done all your work so diligently here to know exactly what your direct competitors are, how people search for those, and where therefore all the opportunities where your product should be shown, given all the ways that people find and search for your competitor's direct item that's directly comparable to yours, and which Google should already be showing your ad anyway, to where it'll pick up steam faster and faster. And so I mentioned at the start of the video, this will go to work right away. It'll pick up steam, and then it'll be like an avalanche at some point. And 2-3 months down the road, you have a bunch more sales, because the algorithm now, you've helped it out with the most relevant information it possibly could have. Obviously, it can use the information that's on your product pages to kind of know what product it is, the title, the description. But other than that, the most important information it could have is, what's the other items in which people that buy this item that you're selling also buy, because those items should be shown together, because if they don't buy one item, they buy the other. So if they're going to show anything next to that particular, in the shopping for that other item, when people search just for that item, it should be that it should be your product, and know exactly what products it should show up for. Now, the exact product it should show up for is the product that, remember, what I was talking about before is the exact item that usually did the best in shopping anyway. So you're telling, here's Google, this is the best item I have here, so therefore if you're going to show it, should show this one. But respectively, in Google you kind of already know that already. If somebody searches for my competitor's item, well, you should have my item showing up there, and here's the exact things that it should show up for, essentially. So I did your work for you. This is all the way that they search for that competitor item. And so if you want to have my item show up for anybody looking for that direct competitor's items that's directly comparable to this item here that I sell, well, this is all the way that they search for them. And so basically just automatically have my item show up in shopping next to or on the search results for my competitor's item there, and it'll work basically every time. They try it for a second item, and then it just avalanches. You get a bunch more results, upwards of triple the impression share once you've done this for your shopping. Or should I say not up to, but like an average of triple. I want to be very specific about that. Now, if you're questioning whether or not how legit this is in terms of whether Google allows it or not, I can tell you 100%, get in touch with the support department and my rep at Google, that they will absolutely let you do this. I was skeptical that they would let you at all, because it seems like a black hat strategy. It's almost like keyword stuffing. Google's always hated keyword stuffing for organic rankings and all that. But in this particular situation, they know obviously they need help having their shopping feed have more information on it, so shopping can be more efficient. It shows the right thing for the right person at the right time. And you load it up with all that information. If it's wrong information, they'll just start ignoring it. But if it's really, really right information, it'll just pound it after that. And so if you think about it that way, you understand why it should be legit, and verified 100%. It is legit with them. You have no problems putting your competitors' keywords in on your feed. Now, if you're wondering why I actually label it the attribute in which is going to hold the competitors' key phrases in which people search for that directly comparable item on Google when they're looking for that directly comparable item that my competitor sells, keywords itself does sound like keyword stuffing. So I'm just kind of paranoid for the future. Maybe things will change or whatever. What the attribute is called is irrelevant. You could technically name it keywords or competitor keywords in there if you wanted to. This kind of, again, don't attack me, Google. Alternative names sounds like names of your products. You're kind of tricking it to say, even though I don't for sure think they think about things logically, like there's no human involved in here, but I'm labeling it something here that I know what it is. So if I'm looking at it 5 years from now, I remember what I did. But essentially, if the algorithm has looked at, 20,000 product feeds and it sees a field with names, I'm thinking they're going to associate the word names with keywords it should show up for. Whereas if I was an engineer at Google and I saw something that said keyword, I would know, because of past history, anything they label with keywords is generally not that great because people stuff the keywords in there. The reason why Google's hated keyword stuffing is because people try to put keywords in there that are not relevant to enough to the item. So when people search for it, it's almost like you're interrupting and you're annoying the user at that point. It would be okay if people did it tactfully and they knew exactly if they saw my product in this exact situation, they would love it every single time, and if they didn't, I wouldn't show it. It would be okay, but the marketers abuse it. So I'm not going to make Google think that I'm like the average person who would put a quote-unquote keyword in there. I'm going to stay away from anything that their programmer could have put in there to ignore me, or in general that the algorithm or AI system learned to avoid, if you might get my whole point there. But it's definitely allowed anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. You may name it technically anything you want. I've done it this way and it's worked great. I haven't done a split test between naming it alternative names and competitor keywords. This is just my own personal logic, and I wanted to explain it to you so that maybe, you just have some other, some different options available to you. But that, in a nutshell, is the whole thing. How to get triple the results out of your shopping campaign. Anybody can do it. Yes, it's going to take some time to figure out how people are searching for your competitors' items, and then understanding what should be shown for the people searching for the competitors' items, so that there's an immediate positive feedback loop from coming from your shopping, because they know exactly the number one place that all your products in your shopping feed should show up, helping them out and understanding where they should be, and then them seeing it and then wanting to go run rampant with your product feed, because now it knows how to run it. Realistically, it knows how to run your product feed and your shopping campaign then better than any of your competition. It's always a race between you and everybody else with the ads. The algorithm learns that it can more predictably make their users happy with your feed. Well, your feed gets pushed more, and that's just how it works. So anyway, that's everything in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed. I have a ton of other videos on this channel about other PPC money-making strategies. You should check those out definitely if you haven't seen any of them from my channel before. I have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog with step-by-step instructions on how to build campaigns the way that I build them for our clients here, in which they have to guarantee to work for their clients. If you wanted to see information along those kind of lines, you can find it there. If you have any questions or comments about anything I described here, things that you think I should have covered and didn't, anything that didn't make sense, leave me a comment down below. I'll get back to everybody who leaves me a comment on this channel within just a day or two, and get back to you personally on that. So apart from that, hope you enjoyed. Hopefully this did make sense, and it will make you some money in the future on your shopping campaigns coming up.